Hi guys, as you can see here I've got the base of my pegboard. It's just missing the circle and square hole. Many of you have already put those in on your pegboard in class, and you may have found that it was kind of difficult to do all that math of trying to figure out where the midpoint goes and doing that basic math. It's not that difficult, it just is kind of time consuming, and there's a much faster way that we can do that, which I'm going to show you today. Basically, we're going to use parametric equations to dimension the location of the circular hole and the square. So I'm going to get started by creating a new sketch on the top of this pegboard, and I'm going to use the center point tool up here. I'm just going to click anywhere in this general region where I want my circle to be. So click, and then I'm going to select OK. And I'm going to quickly just dimension this out. So we'll come from the center point out to the side, select OK, from the center point to the top, and select OK. All right. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is use the Manage tab. So I'm going to come up to the Manage tab and use the Parameters tool. And this is going to allow me to write some easy equations to move this center point around. Rather than having to do the actual math, I can just write the equation and the computer will do it for me. So you can see here in your parameters box, you're going to have 6 different dimensions, D0 through D6. D0 through D3 are the original dimensions you put in when building the actual pegboard, and then D4 through D6 are the dimensions of this point that you just put on the pegboard. So what we're going to go ahead and do is move this point around and center it so that my circle ends up centered in the correct place for my pegboard. So for D5, that's going to be the first dimension I work with. I want that right here to be 1/3 of the way down this 5.75 inch line. So rather than taking 5.75 and dividing by 3 and then trying to find that point, I can basically do that right here in this equation box. So I'm going to go ahead and for D5 select, I'm going to put 1/3 times, and I'm going to select D0 because that's the dimension I want to work with, the 5.75. So we'll say D0, and when I make that change, you can see that my hole moves over, my center point moves over. So I can do the same thing for D6. D6 is the dimension on this 3-inch line, and I want it to be halfway down that line, or at 1.5. So what I'm going to do is just write a simple equation for that. I'm going to say 1/2 times, and then I need to find the 3-inch dimension, which would be D3. So 1/2 times D3, and go ahead and put that in, and you can see now my point is easily centered. So I'm going to go ahead and select Done. Okay, so once I've selected Done, I'm going to finish the sketch and go ahead and use the Hole tool to put my hole in. And once I select the Hole tool, it's automatically going to put the hole on that midpoint. And I've got my 1-inch diameter, so I'm good to go. Select the check, and as you can see here, we have our hole right where we want it, centered nice and neat. I can go in now and do the same thing for the square. I'm just going to create a new sketch to make the square. What you will notice though is that when you make the square, that center point you use is going to end up being a corner point and not a center point. So you may have to change your equations around a little bit. Hope this video was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions in class. Good luck.